A new Congress is in session. Will it be any more productive than the last? This morning, we'll get the views of former veteran Congressman Charlie Rangel. Plus, did you spend more than you should have this holiday? We'll talk to a credit repair specialist on how to best deal with your debt.
Now, from 42nd and 2nd, this is Pix 11 News Close-Up with Marvin Scott.
Good morning, everyone. The 116th Congress was gavelled into session on Thursday. The Democrats, they are in control of the House, while the Republicans retain leadership in the Senate. It is the most diverse Congress in history, with more women and a new generation of Muslims, Latinos, Native Americans, and African Americans. And the first woman, Nancy Pelosi, returns to the Speaker's chair. The new Congress convenes at a critical time when it is at an impasse right now with President Trump, who, as of this taping, continues the government shutdown until he gets the funding he wants for his border wall. Former Congressman Charlie Rangel was in the thick of it for 46 years, 23 terms, the second longest serving member of the House of Representatives. Now, since his retirement 2 years ago, he's been viewing it all from the sidelines. This morning, we're pleased to get his perspective on it. Good to have you back on Pix 11 News Close-Up. Happy New Year, Charlie.
Happy New Year. Good to be back.
So tell me, are you enjoying being on the sidelines, or you miss not being in the thick of it?
I don't really consider myself being on the sidelines. What has happened is that I had no idea what retirement meant. It was a different, my wife says I never had really a real job. I came out of the Army. I became an assistant U.S. attorney. I served 4 years in the Assembly, 46 years in the Congress. And now I'm spending time with my kids, my grandkids, my wife. I'm doing pro bono work at CCNY. So I really thought, when this new 116th Congress I watched, I was glued to the television. I was tempted to go down. And I thought that the nostalgia would really get to me. But when I saw, as you reported, those different colors and cultures and
diversity,
and saw how young the people were, how excited. No, I don't miss it. I just thank God that in those 46 years, I enjoyed every day.
So let me ask you, so with this new Congress in here, with this diversity we have, with the Democrats in control of the House, do you see this Congress being any more productive than the last one?
Than the last one, of course, because it's not just the Congress, the balance of power makes a difference is how it ends up. And we were dealing with a conservative Supreme Court, a conservative Republican Senate, and a conservative president and a conservative House. So there has to be a difference. As a matter of fact, this week is going to be the opening of President Trump's first political day as president.
It's interesting you say that. Well, someone said that when the Congress was sworn in, it was a new day. It was the day the Trump presidency totally changed.
Absolutely no question. You see, we don't have a politician or experienced person at the helm. And I think it's safe to say that whatever Trump wanted to do, he was in a position financially to do it in terms of projecting who he really was. And there was nobody that cared enough to stop him. No one cared in the private sector what he said, And it's clear that when I hear him saying that he knows more than the generals, he knows more than the Secretary of State, it meant that there was no check in his mind. Well, there's a check. He's going at 100 miles an hour, and this new House of Representatives is coming to a shrieking halt. And it's not an not in my mind, an anti-Trump thing, because I love this country so much and see the progress that has been made, slowly that has been made. I think about slavery, World War I, World War II, 9/11, and the youth of our country compared to the rest of the world. And this is a bump in the road.
You've lived through so many government shutdowns and threatened shutdowns. How do you see this one? As of this taping on Friday, the government is still shut down. How do you see this one ending?
This is far more serious. I don't even think that you can compare this. First of all, a new speaker, a new House comes in during the breakdown. Second, no president has ever said, I take responsibility for closing down the government. Dozens of times he's talked about using closing down the government like it was just a political thing in his toolkit.
2 weeks now. How do you see this ending?
I really don't, because there's no issue there that when I heard him say and saw on television that he takes over and holds himself responsible for putting all of these people in harm's way economically. And when he says that one way or the other that he's going to get that wall.
Do you think he will?
Hell no. I'm sorry to talk like. Of course not. And it allows me to take another look at him mentally to believe why he would take this one shot. Because, as you said, this is going to revolutionize his presidency, which I don't think he's going to complete in the 4 years.
You don't?
No, I never did. I never did. He doesn't understand the ropes. And I am absolutely surprised that so many good Republicans have gone along with this for one reason and one reason only. They think it's necessary to do this in order to get reelected.
Do you agree with the former Majority Leader, Harry Reid? Harry Reid the other day came out and said he's the worst president we've ever had. Would you characterize him that way?
Old. I'm only 88. How could I don't go back to George Washington.
How about Abe Lincoln? No. Harry Reid said he's the worst president we've ever had.
I don't say that. I can say he's the worst one that I've served, or for me in my lifetime. But when you talk about the evolution of our democracy and the different phases that we're going through, it depends on what a president is able to do. Does he have support of the Congress? Is the economy doing good? If we had a time of war, it goes up and down. But this is really a test to the strength of our country. I mean, it's not whether he's good or bad or evil or spiritual or incompetent. It's not that. It's a test of whether or not this Constitution works and whether there's a balance of power. No president tells the Congress, who's the keeper of the purse string, that he's going to do it even if he has to use the military. Nobody.
On that note, could take a break. Let's pick up on it. We're with former Congressman Charlie Rangel. Stay with us as Pix 11 News Close-Up continues. Back now with former Congressman Charlie Rangel, who has the moniker the Lion of Harlem, 46 years in Congress, the second longest term for anyone.
You know, I never really had a bad day in being in that
I've always
Congress.
admired your passion. You're always passionate about what you've done. You still are.
Well, I am, because I love the country with all of its moles and pimples and whatnot. We managed to come out, and there's nobody that wants to leave here. Everyone complains, but everyone wants to get in.
We know that with the immigration, everybody wants to come in. So
Exactly.
let me pick up and ask you about the immigration policy that the president is trying to put forward. Where do you think this is going? Is this going to be one of the major issues facing Congress this year?
Sooner or later, I think we're going to find a way to get the president to understand he must have the cooperation of the Congress. And I'm not talking about just the Democrats. Republicans, well, most of the members of Congress, there's one big issue, getting reelected. And even before we get to immigration, you've got to find out their break-offs, even now, with Republicans that are up for re-election in the Senate. So there's a question of how long can McConnell hold out and protect the president by not making him veto a bill. So when you get to immigration and infrastructure and health care, these things have nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans. It's essential that we have a immigration system that doesn't just open the doors for anyone to get in, but allows us to have a uniform system to see what is best for the United States of America. And it's not a fence or a wall. It's a process, and Republicans know, everybody knows it. And so what's going to happen is that with this new political revolution in the House, it's going to be contagious. 1/3 of the Senate is going to be up for election. When you hear what Mitt Romney is saying, I think he's going to be more active than Corker or Flake. And you've got to find other people with some place to go. And it is my hope that the good Republicans, the good Americans that are in this party that has been shattered by Trump, there is no longer a Republican Party that you and I know. It's Trump's party. And it's my hope that there'll be a new party, the party of Lincoln, where good Republicans can be a challenge to my party, the Democratic Party.
What do you feel it is that's driving Trump? Is it ego?
Listen, when you deal with a mind like that and the history that he's had in the private sector, he challenges psychiatrists to wonder why he says and does certain things. The repetition he has, if you watch him, I never would think that a guy like that could be elected to the city council because he just doesn't make sense. I mean, he has a press conference that takes no questions this week. He goes into the press room at a time that members of Congress are getting reelected, a new Congress. No, I truly believe that we got to think about life after Trump, and it's evolving.
Nancy Pelosi, in an interview this past week, said that she didn't rule out the possibility of impeachment. Do you see that as something on the horizon?
I think that was a little twist of words. Nobody can rule out a tool that the Constitution has given to them. I've heard her say 1,000,001 times what all Democrats say. You have to wait till the Mueller report has been completed before you talk about anything else. And secondly, I was in the Congress during the Watergate. When you say impeachment, people don't realize that it's not the House that gets rid of them. Impeachment means, as a former assistant U.S. attorney, it's a grand jury.
It's an indictment.
It's an indictment. You want to find out, is there enough evidence to bring an indictment? Now, there's nobody that can say that any president, including Bill Clinton, that's not vulnerable to the House trying to find out, is his conduct violate the Constitution with high crimes and misdemeanors, which are not statutory crimes.
But isn't it true that a sitting president cannot be criminally indicted? Is that correct?
That is not true. It is true that the Justice Department has rules that in the past have been respected that says that you don't indict a president. But, I mean, Bill Clinton was.
I have to ask you this. Now, you've observed this and you're sitting on the sidelines and seem to be enjoying it.
You keep saying sideline because I don't have a vote. But I wish more Americans would be not spectators, but participate.
So is there anyone out there in Congress now who's calling you and say, Congressman Rangel, what's your advice?
No, I thought you were going to say, Charlie, I'm thinking about having an exploratory committee. I'd like to get your support, but nobody is asking me about it because they don't know where they're going. Every day there's a changing scene that's taking place. Every day this president will think of a half a dozen different ways to either Twitter or to be on television. We don't even know what McCormick is going to do.
We have a new Attorney General in New York, Tish James.
Yeah,
and
what
she
exciting.
read on the campaign that she was going to go after Trump if she became Attorney General in New York. Look into his business, look into his business dealings and everything else. You think it's getting to the point he's going to rue the day he ran for president?
I told you I don't really believe that even Donald Trump can survive 2 years of that for his family, politically, emotionally, and his inability to defend the positions that he's taken.
Okay, you say 2 years. Who do you see in the forefront for 2020?
I'm the last one in the world. When they told me that my Senator Barack Obama was thinking about running for president, my immediate response, I don't see how in hell he got elected to the Senate. My wife was supporting him. I was supporting Hillary Clinton. I never thought, and I'm so glad I was wrong, that Obama could do it, and he did it. This is a great country. You don't play America short. And if you ever doubt it, just take another picture at the Democrats. And
Elizabeth Warren has indicated she's going to be running. What do you think?
I don't want to get involved in hurting.
You see any Democrat out there right now who you see who could defeat Donald Trump?
I can't think of anyone that announced they couldn't defeat him. As a matter of fact, let me make it perfectly clear. Donald Trump is going to defeat himself. I cannot possibly see how he can survive into 2020. Not only that, but I don't think he'll be able to survive this shutdown, this $5.6 billion, and this wall, this barrier, this fence, or whatever he's doing.
Congressman Charlie Rangel, always good to get your perspective, as partisan as it is. We've reached out to Republicans, Peter King, who is the only Republican really representative in the local area, to get their perspective as well. But thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you. Have a good new year.
Thank you, and to you too, and to Alma as well. We're going to take a break, come back. Stay with us for Pix 11 News Close-Up. Christmas has come and gone, but the bills, they're still coming in for what we spent on presents. The final figure's not in yet, but it was estimated in total Americans spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 billion. Now break that down to each individual. They spent an average of $1,007. Much of that on credit cards with balances due this month. Now, how many of you extended yourselves? Well, this guy may be able to help you out. Paul Oster is a credit repair specialist who is the founder of the repair and credit management firm Better Qualified in Eatontown, New Jersey. So, help. What do? We got all those bills coming in on the credit card.
So here's the problem, Marvin. You know, 15%, around 15% of people still have balances from 2017 that they haven't paid off. So the problem is this: every financial decision is based on emotions, and during Christmas, our emotions are at an all-time high. So we have to be careful, and if we don't plan ahead, you know, we get into this annual crisis mode. So the idea is to figure out, believe it or not, what we're going to do for 2019. And in order to do that, you have to list what you spent in total in 2018, not just on gifts. Remember, we travel more, we entertain more. All of those expenses go towards our total budget.
So immediate advice for those bills that are stacking up from just this Christmas.
Make a list of the credit cards, okay? Use a credit card calculator. Go through the credit cards, figure out the highest interest rates. It's called debt stacking. You're going to pay off the credit cards with the highest interest rate first, and then move on to the next one, move on to the next one. It's mathematically proven to work the best and the fastest way. There's another school of thought called the snowball effect, where you tackle the balances, the cards with the lowest balances, so you get some immediate satisfaction about paying off a card in full. Pick a plan and stick with it until you're debt-free. There is no better return on an investment than paying off your revolving credit card debt. the average interest rate is 17%. So if you have a 17% return, every dollar you pay down that debt, it's like getting a 17% return on your money. So this is the time to figure out a plan and invest in your debt.
So what happens if these charges are not tackled immediately? The interest rate keeps
Here's
going
the
up?
example. On 22% interest, right? Because let's face it, people with poor credit, they're closer to 28%. 22% interest rate, if you spent $1,000, which was about the average this year, it'll take you 11 years to pay off that $1,000 debt. It'll take you 11 years if you just make the minimum payments. So you have to figure out, where is this extra money going to come from? Without getting a second job, if we don't get a raise, we don't have additional income, we have to cut expenses. So most people don't like to hear that word, right? Put a budget in place. Figure out where you can cut your discretionary expenses. And people laugh at the $5 a day coffee thing. Don't stop for coffee, right? Whether it's $5, $10 in the morning, that's $50 a week. That's $1,200 and something a year.
Add it all up.
If you add it all up, those little things that you do, when you apply it all towards your debt, be disciplined. All of that money go towards your credit card debt, and you'll be amazed how fast you can really get out of debt. It shouldn't take you 11 years.
What about dealing with those companies that offer to help you consolidate your debt?
So debt consolidation, if it's done correctly, can help some people. Here's the bottom line. We have people in New York, they kill themselves. They commit suicide over debt. And people need to know that we have options. There are laws in place. You don't go to jail if you can't pay your bills, right? So there are laws in place, bankruptcy laws. If you qualify, it's not going to take you 7 years. It's not the end of your life. Chapter 7, you're debt-free. I don't care if you had $100,000 in credit card debt, you will walk away debt-free. And the minute that you get discharged from bankruptcy, you can start rebuilding your life. Within 12 to 24 months, it would be like it never happened. So look at the cabbies. You know, the taxi association is dealing with these poor guys. You know, their medallions aren't worth anything. They're killing themselves because they're in debt. And that's just a tragedy that can be avoided. People need to know that there are options out there to help them.
Also, you advise people to use their annual bonuses, anything that to get back on a tax return.
Oh, listen, don't take your tax return and buy a jacuzzi. Take your tax return.
That's the temptation, of course.
Take your tax return and apply it towards your debt. Again, until you are out of credit card debt, do not spend another dime on things that you want, right? There are certain things that we need. We need a roof over our head. We need to eat. We need to, but what do we want? So don't spend another dime on things that we want.
Put those cards away.
Put the cards away. Stop. Don't close them, right? There are crazy people out there that'll tell you to close all your credit cards. You can't. You have to be disciplined. Cut them up, but don't close them. You have to keep them open and active because that'll hurt your credit. So here's the other thing. As soon as your credit card balances go over 30% of your credit limits, your credit scores start to come down. So now those holiday expenses may start costing you more money in all other interest rates.
Is it advisable to take loans against your home or life insurance?
Listen, right now is a great time to do a cash out refi, to consolidate. That's a good consolidation. Take all of your other debt and put it into your mortgage. Interest rates right now are still in the high 4%. Okay, and you get some tax, benefits from having a higher mortgage. So do a cash out refi. You have one bill. Pay off all your revolving credit cards, pay off your car. Anything that's above 5% should be rolled into your mortgage at this point in time.
10 seconds left. Final advice?
Final advice. Don't get in trouble again in 2019. Put the plan together. You know, when you think of the Grinch, he's not the green fairy guy. It's the banks and interest rates that are the Grinch this year.
Credit repair specialist Paul Oster, and the company is repair and credit management firm known as Better Qualified in Eatontown, New Jersey. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me on, Marvin.
Good advice. Anyway, that'll do it for our program this week. If you have any comments or wish to see this broadcast again, log on to our website at pix11.com/newscloseup. I'm Marvin Scott. Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone.